Don't place a trade based on what you're seeing in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Hey traders, John Howell here, and in today's market update video, I'm going to be covering the Sp500, the Nasdaq, and the Dow. And I want to share with you a repetitive pattern that happened back in sort of from the start of this run up through here. There's a very similar pattern that what actually happened through here before the crash that's actually happening right now as I speak. So I'm going to share that with you. It's happening right now on the Nasdaq. It's happening right now on the Sp500. And it's also happening right now on the Dow Jones. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on in today's video. And then also I want to share with you a really interesting chart that is screaming some really bad news. So I'm going to share that interesting chart with you. I can't wait to share that with you. So let's get straight into the markets right now today, okay? We can see what actually happened today across the board. We can see that basically the market was pretty much flat through here. We really didn't run up and close this gap yet. We're trying to close that gap right now. We may continue up from here tomorrow and so on and so forth, but we'll see what actually happens from there. Not much going on there, and same with all the indices, right? They're pretty much flat for the day. But the one thing I want to share with you is this: is that if I bring up my Sp500 here, okay, and if I bring up some trend lines, look at this here, right? Now let me just bring up, say, a blank chart here for a minute. All right, just a blank chart. Look at this here. So I'm going to take it off the screen. All right, so look at this here. The last time we went through a very nice big, this is like a big sort of a vertical move to the upside, or a very nice move to the upside. Look what happened here, right? It started going up, but look at this here. Notice how when we draw our trend lines, right? We notice how we actually stayed above this level. So we came down, bounced off it, 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 bounced off it. Then we broke down. Then we broke up to an all-time new high. Now it's not the same pattern, but we broke up. Then we hit the underlying side of the trend line, and then we failed. Look what's happening right now, right? We found support all the way up. Now we broke down, and look what's happening now. We're finding a lot of resistance here. The question mark that I have right now is this, is that if we do start to see something like this here on the S&P5, see how we actually ran up and then we failed through there? If we fail through here like here, that guys, that's when you're probably likely to start to see a movement down, not a big crash down, but probably a move down towards the 2800 level, which I think we're going to get there anyway. But that's just my thoughts, and guess what? My thoughts mean absolutely nothing because the market's always right, not me. So we'll wait and see. If we do start to see the rollover first, that's going to be a very key sign that we're getting a lot of weakness here. Look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average as well too, right? Look at this here. Let me take this line off the screen. Look what happened here, right? Found support. Then we ran up. Look at this here. Support. Broke through. Look what actually happened. Let me bring up a different line. All right. So look what actually happened, right? We found all the support all through here. We broke down, we tested it as resistance, and then we failed, right? That should have been a sign, right? That, hang on a minute, we're failing through here, and now we're rolling over. And then we started the big crash. Now, I don't expect that same thing to actually happen today, like a big crash. But, as you can see, start, support, all the way up. And then look what happened, broke down, and now we're testing that level there right now as I speak. If we do get that, is that the start of the next crash, right? Or the next at least move down, right? Now I could say, is this the start? A warning sign that this could be the start of the next crash. The reason why I'm saying that is that because this may be the start before we go test new lows again, right? We just never know what's going to happen because, right, come fundamentally, guys, come end of July, when the job keeper stops and all that sort of stuff, July, August, September, October, November, December are going to be horrible months for the economy. Horrible. Here in Australia, we've got a bit of a leadway because everything finishes in September. But the Americans, right? They're like, hang on a minute. No. So maybe, just maybe, right? Because remember what actually happened here, right? The market collapsed here first. And then guess what? It was down here where the WHO came out and said, this is now a pandemic. It was down here that Trump did announce that this wasn't a national emergency. You see what I'm saying through there? So it's not like Trump's going to come out and say this is a problem and then the market crashes. The market will crash first, and then the government, or whatever the crash is happening for, whatever reason, then the governments are going to start to come out and start to mention that, all right? So whenever people come out, especially in the media, if they come out and they start to mention things, they're already too late, right? Like for me, example, here in property in Australia, right? Like I'm really looking to buy some property right now because I think that's something that I haven't been focusing on. I've been focused on just trading and making money. But long term, I know property is going to be fantastic, cash flow wise and so on and so forth, right? So, but guess what? I'm looking to buy now, but I know I'm really praying that I hear the words, markets crashing, and all over the news. Oh my goodness, property market's crashing. That when you hear that, guess what? We're almost at the bottom of that move. Same for what actually happened in 2017, right? People will be, the news is always behind. Whatever you hear in the media, it's the opposite. So when WHO came out and Donald Trump came out, WHO came out, said pandemic, Donald Trump said national emergency and all that sort of stuff, right? So we started to, and all the shutdown and all that sort of stuff would actually happen through here. But guess what? That seems really bad, doesn't it? It's like, oh my goodness, they're coming out right now, this is what they're saying. So it's always important to look at the opposite to what they're actually saying. Like, hang on a minute. And then the market rally, like, hang on a minute, that doesn't make sense. This is when it was really, really bad. No, hang on a minute. The market is a foreseeing factor. So that's the reason why we can never trade the news, right? Because they're always behind. And whatever the news is saying, I guarantee you that if you just did the exact opposite, like, oh my goodness, this is the best bull market in history, and you shorted the market, probably 8 times out of 10 you're going to do well, and the other one's not, right? Especially in a bull market, right? Because the bull market can just keep going on and on and on. I don't think it's going to see that right now with what's seen here right now, right? So the reason why I'm mentioning that to you in this video is because if the market sees that after July, August, September, October, they're going to be, that's devastation is going to be hitting the economy. Second wave of the Rona is going to happen as well too. Guess what? We're going to see this big crash first. And then guess what? Then the government's going to come out and all this sort of stuff and probably try to print more money. Make sense? Now, that's the reason, that's what you want to see through there, right? So we also can see on the Nasdaq a similar formation. The Nasdaq to me is just like, you buying the Nasdaq right now, guys, that's probably the worst gamble you ever do. Do not be buying the Nasdaq right now. Actually, you know what? I'm not here to give you advice. Do whatever you want to do, but my recommendation or my general advice is like I say with all my other videos, if you've been watching me, is that wait for a pullback, right? Wait for a dip first, right? Buy the dip. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 days. Like this here is not a dip. Right? This here is not a dip. This here is not a dip. This here is not a dip, right? These dips here are very, very, very short-lived, right? Don't be thinking short-term with these markets as well too. So, but look what actually happened here recently on the Nasdaq. Firstly, we had this very big long trend line through here, as you can see. But if I take that off the screen, look what happened through here, right? We started going vertical, didn't we? Support, way up. Broke down. Look what happened. Tested it as resistance. It actually kept going up, didn't it? It kept going up and up and up, up. And then guess what happened? And then we dropped down, didn't we? That was the start. What? That was the start of the next. This started coming down through here. big gap down. Guess what? That was the start of the next move down, right? If we start to see something like that, is that the start of a next move down? Now, I'm not saying we're going to see that, guys, but this is a repetitive pattern, right? This signal here, this is the signal. We saw this signal right before the stock market crash, or we are seeing the same signal before the stock market crash there. Right, I'm right now as I'm recording this video for you guys, I'm trying to come up with some thumbnail to grab your attention. So I'll think of something. So, and it might be true, right? Like we may be eking out a new high right now on the Nasdaq, or getting close to it anyway. But we may just be getting ready for something like this again. Like we just never know, right? Now it's very hard to say that with the Nasdaq, because things like Netflix and Amazon are quite strong. It's really interesting. I'm actually quite bullish, probably over the next 6 to 12 months on Netflix. Not so much Amazon anymore. If you guys have been following me now, I did say I was bullish on Amazon. I'm not getting any clear signals anymore, so that's neutral there. I have no opinion about that anymore. But Netflix, I'm actually quite bullish overall. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plans out through there. So that's what I'm seeing through there, guys. This is a repetitive pattern, and the chart that I want to share with you. Let me just let me share this. Let me share this chart with you. It's a really interesting chart. Look at this chart through here, guys. This is something that is, I think, when we're talking about like the ground basis of what happens through here. Look at this here, right? So the Sp500 versus profit margins. The Sp 500 is so what we have here is that the white line is the stock market, and obviously the red line is profit margins. Look what happened here. Profit margins fell off the cliff. What happens every time profit margins fall off the cliff? Fall off the cliff, fall off the cliff, fall off. Hey, let's actually bring that to a green. Let's bring that to a 2 or a 5. Fall off the cliff, market follows. Fall off the cliff, market follows. Fall off the cliff. Oh my goodness. Like market's likely to follow. So there we go, guys. That's what I wanted to share with you there right now. And I hope this all makes sense with you guys, that no matter what's happening within the economy, with the markets, the stock market will move first before anything, comes out of really, 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 really bad. Okay. So just like the stock market, if I bring up, let me close this here, right? Just like the stock market saw that there was going to be a shutdown, it was going to be devastation for a few months. That's the reason why the market sold off first. Okay. What does the stock market see now? Does the stock market see devastation after July and into August? If so, we're probably likely to see the exact same thing through here. And then this would be one major topping pattern with Nasdaq, and then it's down, down, down from there. Now, that being said, guys, that's what I actually think was going to happen. Now anything can happen here with obviously what's happening with the economy pumping all this money in the markets right now. So that's where it's a 50-50 bet on there. I never bet the markets anyway, guys. I just simply just wait for the probability setup that I look for. But based on what I'm saying through here is that that I do see I'm actually bearish on the markets right now. I don't think we're likely to continue up, not with everything that's happening this year. And it's likely to get a lot worse, right? What we're seeing right now, the Band-Aid has been put on, but wait till the Band-Aid to get ripped. Wait for the Band-Aid to get ripped right off. And that's, people have to start paying back their mortgages. And especially those mortgages where it's not put at the end, it's not just an extension of the mortgage. It's now you go back and start paying the mortgage, but now you've got a higher mortgage because now they've actually increased the payments to cover. So they've kept the term the same. I just read this recently. I'm like, this is crazy, right? So some mortgages have where the forbearance, whatever it was, 2, 3, 4 months, whatever, 6 months, that was then put at the end of the loan, right? So now it's just the same payments but put at the end of the loan. But then there's many banks out there and institutions where you would, wherever the forbearance period was, say 6 months, right? then instead of putting it at the end of the loan, they just now have that. They now keep the same term, the same time loan, but when they go back to start paying it, now they've got a higher mortgage. People are already struggling to pay their mortgage, or most people anyway. Some people are not, but when that happens, and then there's no job to come back to, or there's layoffs, there's cuts, there's no more government assistance, guys. That's the reason I'm like, fundamentally to me, it makes no sense that the stock market will keep going up, but the stock market is the stock market. But fundamentally, I see that when the forbearance is now, when people have to start paying their mortgage back again, the Band-Aid gets ripped right off, right? The government removes the JobKeeper. All I see, guys, is prices are down, and this is going to be pretty bad towards the end of this year.